Hello, everybody. Welcome into our pre-show here at Computer America. We'll be starting momentarily. This is a little behind-the-scenes program. We're going to have a terrific show. Again, a schedule change. DX Racers has been moved to yet a further day down this month. So in the first hour, we're going to have Steve Stockman joining us.
Showtime.
Author. Steve Stockman, the author of the book How to Shoot Video That Doesn't Suck. That's really cool. And he's got some interesting stories about that. And, of course, in the second hour, we'll have computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. We're going to talk about, about Steve's free video boot camp. That's interesting. And also, why video literacy matters in this day and age. These are some of the things we're going to be talking about with him. So we'll be starting in 30 seconds from now. Sit back, relax as we bring to you 2 hours of the Computer America show right here in 20 seconds from now. Okay, make it 15. 10.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show about computers and technology. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Computer America show. Well, we're just kind of all over the road here. You know, we have guests changing. We haven't had this happen like this in quite a while, but you know, it happens. I know all of you who are checking our calendar. We're expecting a particular guest, but that the DX Racer is not going to be here with us today. They're going to be here with us in the middle of the month. A last momentary, unexpected conference that he had to go and attend. But
we promise we're not trying to pull a bait and switch.
No, we're not. No, because we have a really good switch. It's not bait at all. For those of you who, and let's face it, everybody today walks around with a video camera in their pocket, because if you have a smartphone, that's what you have. You know, you have a camera and you have a digital video motion picture camera, which rival, you know, the high quality cameras today. Some of the cameras you're finding in smartphones are just really outstanding, the quality and the abilities that you have with these devices. Steve Stockman is here. He's going to be talking about why shooting, why shooting video literacy matters. Okay, in this day and age, why it's so important. And again, he is the author of How to Shoot Video That Doesn't Suck, and he'll be joining us here in a few minutes. In the meantime, in the second hour, of course, we'll have computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. We got some interesting stories and an update what's happening at Blog Talk Radio. That audio file that many of you couldn't get is now available, and a little story behind that story, and we'll tell you about that in the second hour of the show. If you have a comment or question, please give us a call, 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on, and it will get you through. I promise. It will. It should. Okay. However, if you you don't want to go on the air, we have another way for you to contact us. Just head over to our website, ComputerAmerica.com. On any page there, you'll see the menu bar. The second item from the left, it says Live Stream. Just beneath that, it says Submit a Question. Click it. You'll go to our question submission page. You can type in anything you like, hit the submit button, and Ben and I will see what you've typed instantaneously. It's that simple. The other thing that we also invite you to do on every show is join our live video stream. We are a radio broadcast. However, we also have live video streaming of the show. And the way that works is, again, head over to any page at ComputerAmerica.com. And, again, on that menu bar, just click the item that says live stream. And when you do, you'll be teleported to our live video streaming page. you'll be joined to the show already in progress, and not only can you listen to the show, but you can actually watch the show. You'll be able to see Ben, you'll be able to see Steve, our guest today, and also Ben has the technology to display other things like websites, links, videos, movies. He has the technology to do that, so it just makes for a more enriched experience. And anything we're talking about today, where there's a website or a link, you'll be able to see it on our live video stream, and that's how that works. Again, 347-884-8881 will get you on and get you through. So got a couple other things I want to talk to you about in the second hour too, Ben, in addition to the blog talk, a couple things about the status of radio, broadcast radio, and some very interesting things that have cropped up. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that too.
The state of the industry?
Yeah.
Do we have these kinds of talks? Because I feel like this is very involved.
Yeah, it is, but it's very interesting. Okay, and we'll talk about that in the second.
Right.
We'll talk about it in the second hour. So, anything else you want to mention before we get started on today's broadcast?
Anything else? No. As Craig said, please check out ComputerAmerica.com. It's where we host everything, and where everything is nicely labeled and everything collected, so you can find everything, including guest websites and videos and archives, things like that. Very simple. Just go to our website. And stick around for the second hour. We're gonna have lots of great news stories. I found a story about cockroach milk, but I'm not sure.
Oh,
You say ew, but apparently it's the best kind of milk out there.
cockroach milk?
Yes, little things that skitter around. Obviously, these are farm grown and pureed into milk. But
that makes it better. Okay.
yeah, and I guess they're super supplements, but no. Okay, so not that story, but other tech stories, stuff that's going to be techie and tech related. So yeah, tune in for that. So please. I think we should just get to our guest.
I have to take your word on it, because I just found that so somehow disturbing on a number of levels that I can't begin to tell you. But
really, because to me, all I could imagine was dairy farms and just giant cockroaches running around that you have to milk. You have to milk them like the size of cattle.
Please.
But, okay, yeah, I guess that was just me.
All right. Anyway, if you have any interest in shooting digital video, then you are definitely going to want to hear what our guest today has to say. His name is Steve Stockman. He's a correspondent to the show. He's also the author of the best-selling book, How to Shoot Video That Doesn't Suck. And I guess you can say that the book's title really tells you what it's all about. Okay, Steve is a producer. He's a writer and director of over 200 commercials, web series, short films, music videos, and TV shows. His book is non-technical and helps you shoot video that people actually want to watch. Think about that. And it's written by a Hollywood director. How can he go wrong? Steve, welcome back into Computer America. How are you?
Thanks, guys. Great to be here. I just came in off the back 20 where I was rounding up my cockroach herd and preparing for milking. It's a new business, and in Hollywood you want to get ahead of the new businesses as quickly as you can and get in fast so you can ride the wave.
Yeah, those cockroach stampedes. They're light.
Yes, can be very dangerous.
Yes.
Very dangerous.
Especially if you get in the way.
The crunching sound alone is enough to drive people crazy.
Anyhow, welcome into the program.
Thank you.
Yes, and we got a lot to talk about here, and thank you so much for joining us here. I know that's one of the things we really love about our correspondence, our stable of correspondence, is because when we have a last minute change or something that comes up, we can.
We know that they're doing nothing with their days. So
no,
they it's kind of like the vacuum cleaner. They're sitting in the closet.
It's lunchtime here in California, in my own defense, and I did actually have it blocked off.
Yeah, and not only that, we don't have to go through the whole orientation. I have to send them the registration. We don't have to go through that stuff with our correspondents, because they know, how everything works. And you yourself have broadcasting experience, and so that's always that's an extra icing on the cake. So
indeed.
Anyhow, so Steve, again, the book. How is the book doing? How to shoot video?
How is the book doing? It's doing extremely well, actually. It's the best-selling cinematography book in America, and it is in its 6th printing.
Wow.
And I have a Chinese edition somewhere here in my office I can
Whoa.
hold up later. I have no idea how the translation is because I don't speak Mandarin and can't read it, but it looks right, you know.
Did your publisher do it, or is it just something that Google does for you, or
No. The publisher did it.
Publisher did it. Okay.
It's officially published in China. Also, it's in Bahasa Indonesian in case you're in Indonesia and want to read it in that language. So.
Now it's interesting because the title has something that you wonder, does it really translate into another language? You know?
I will never know.
Well,
because I would need to understand the other language in order to find that out.
Maybe you have a friend who speaks Cantonese or something, you know, or you could show them the book. You can when you go to the next Chinese restaurant, you know, there are going to be plenty. You can say, hey.
I'll bring it with me. You know, I do actually have a friend who speaks Cantonese and Mandarin, and I should ask him, and I didn't even really think about it.
Yeah, you see, there's another pearl of wisdom.
Thank you. I learned so much coming on this show. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. No, this was good.
For I know that the title translates to "How to Shoot Video That Does Not Good" or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out.
So
I will ask. I'll know next time.
Yes. Okay. Good. You should let us know what you find.
I've been thinking a lot about video literacy.
Yeah. What is up with that?
Well, so here's the thing. It's back to school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter, in her last year in high school a couple of years ago, came home and told me about an assignment that was given her by her science teacher. And the assignment was that you could write an essay, a page long about whatever it was physics or something like that, or you could do a 45-minute video as an alternative project. And I thought about that, and I thought, a 45-minute video. Yeah. Here in Hollywood, to do a 45-minute TV show, which is basically an hour-long TV show, we're going to spend somewhere between $3 and $6 million to get 42.5 minutes of entertainment on your screen. Those are your basic narrative, television shows, the ones that you watch on the big networks. To ask a kid to do something entertaining that covers 40 minutes is insane. One of two things is going to happen. One is it's going to be the most boring 40 minutes ever in the history of the world because the kid is just going to fill, and fill and fill. And unlike, a page of essay material that you can just kind of scan through and go, yeah, this is BS, and mark it with your red pen, it's much harder to do that with a video because you kind of have to click in and hear what's going on every once in a while. Either it's just going to be horrible, or it's going to cost $5 million. I mean, those are kinds of the choices that you have to deal with, unless the kid is a genius and spends 2 months on it and turns out to be really the next Steven Spielberg, in which case, hats off. But what I found, in checking around, and the book is used in a lot of schools now as a textbook in middle, high school, and colleges. But what I found by looking around is that people with no video literacy training tend to ask people in their schools or their organizations to do videos, and they say things like, oh yeah, do a 15-minute video or do a 40-minute video. And it's impossible to be entertaining for that long a period of time without actually knowing what you're doing. So hence my focus this month on video literacy in honor of back to school.
Do those instructors realize that they're setting their students up for failure?
I don't think so. I hope not.
Why would they make a request knowing how the odds are? I mean, what they have to know and everything. Why would they even ask them to do a project like that, knowing that?
Well, this is why I'm on your show today with this manifesto, which is don't do that.
Okay.
So if you go to my website, stevestockman.com, right on the front page is a video boot camp. that is it's a PDF. It's like a selection of lessons, 45-minute to an hour lessons that you can do in your classroom if you're a teacher, that will bring your students up to speed on how to do a short video project. And it talks about how really you want these projects to be 90 seconds to 2 minutes long, which is way plenty. You know, because one of the things you can say about bad video is the shorter it is, the better, right? But the other thing is, the shorter something is in video, the more likely it is to be good, because it's easier to focus your 3 days of effort on doing 90 seconds worth of stuff than it is to, you know, it's more likely that you'll end up with good stuff than if you do 3 days on 45 minutes worth of stuff. Just kind of playing the odds, right? You just cut the bad stuff, and what you have is by definition good. So you can download this on that page, and it's totally free. You don't have to sign up or give me your email or anything like that. And you can also send the PDF, totally legal, to teachers, associates in business, because a lot of businesses are also trying to train their people to do video, and this will bring them up to speed. I was talking to somebody who'd been to a workshop recently, kind of an off-site for their company, and one of their assignments was to do videos with their groups. He said, oh my God, they were like 15 minutes long, and watching them was painful. People were trying to be polite, but it was very difficult. So don't do that. It should be 3 minutes tops and really focused, which is the message of this piece.
Now, and you know, you said literacy, so of course the first place my brain goes to is you know, writing. And I'll admit, when I was a wee little student, I wrote the most horrible papers because they were short. I mean, you know, I was writing, you know, 4-word sentences, and I needed 5 minimum to make a paragraph, so I was writing 20-word paragraphs. And I found myself, you know, they kept pushing the idea of, you know, 5 sentences to a paragraph, sometimes 4, you know, and here's the structure, you do this, this, and this. Like, when you teach, you know, writing literacy and how to get your point across, I found that, you know, when I was first learning, I tended to, you know, kind of go on the short side, and, you know, as I went into college and started doing, you know, college level work, there really wasn't that issue of needing to, you know, 1-page essays. I was writing 2, 3, 4-page essays just because, you know, that's the kind of information I wanted to fit in. How, you know, it just seems in a school setting, it's counter to writing in that I think most kids kind of take the lazy way out and, you know, kind of start out short, and then you kind of have to poke the kids until the ideas fall out. But with video, you know, how does that really translate to learning for the first time, that you should, you know, get the relevant information in there, but know what to cut and know what not to cut. Like, you know, I feel like if you go longer, you have a better chance of capturing the information that you want. But if you know, kind of preach brevity, there's more of a chance that they're going to miss the point and that they're going to leave information out.
I think it sounds like what you're saying is in fact the most important thing about video literacy, which is, what is the information that you want to get across? What is the point of the video? What is your intent? Right? And I think that that's the first most important lesson of doing any video, which is, what am I trying to accomplish here? Video is good at motion and emotion, right? It's very bad at facts and figures and charts and stuff like that, but it's good at putting you in an emotional state, taking you on a ride that includes humor or anger or sadness or thrills or whatever. That's what video is kind of good for. It bypasses the brain, goes right to the emotional centers. And it's good with motion. Things need to move in video. Things need to, you need to be taken from place to place. So given that, question 1 in any video literacy course is, what is it you're trying to get across? So if what you're trying to get across is how gravity works in a physics class, you would start by having your students think about what is important about gravity that could be reflected in a video. So just brainstorming here, but you could do a video about throwing watermelons off the roof of the school building onto the parking lot below. And that would be a great video because who doesn't want to watch that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that could relate to physics. But what you want them to understand is what they can't do is a video that shows charts and graphs of how gravity works and theories and equations, because none of that will ever get into people's brains by using video. So part of video literacy is first coming up with the point. And I think if teachers work with their students, or if bosses work with their employees on what the point of the video is, and everybody agrees on that going in, hey, we're going to show how gravity works in the real world. That's our theme, our thesis for this video. Go. Now you have a starting point so that students know, okay, well, I'm doing 2 minutes and it has to answer this question, or it has to show this point. It has to show our customer service experience if you're a company, right? As opposed to just do a video about our company. Does that make sense?
No, it definitely made a point, because when I going through, and maybe I'm getting hung up on the term literacy too much, but when you do writing or when you do math or whatever, it's always good to have that idea of what is the point of this. And I guess for essays, is to be as persuasive, is to be as informative, is to be insert whatever adjective here. Whereas video, it's how to make your point, but also be entertaining. And I mean, is that really the easiest thing to teach? Because I'm not very good with video. I'll admit.
Right.
Yes, I read your book. I swear to God, I read your book. But I still have not broken into Hollywood yet. But
yeah. Well, by the way, it doesn't matter whether you've read my book or not. Of course, Ben. What's important is that you bought it. Right. Okay.
Actually, I think we got a free review copy.
Yeah, you probably did. Yeah. Okay. So, but here's the I think that the thing about video literacy is that it is both a little different and a little the same as writing. So when you talk about the fact that you were writing longer, more effective essays in college than you wrote in 5th grade, part of that is that your ability to discern what to say to people or how to answer the question posed by your teacher or professor in the essay becomes more sophisticated. So you do a better job of separating the wheat from the chaff if you're really learning how to write essays. And by the time you get to college, you can command 4 pages or 5 pages or 10 pages worth of material in a way that you couldn't when you were in 5th grade. And exactly the same thing is going to happen in learning video literacy, is that practice makes perfect, and your first videos are going to totally suck. I know mine did. Right? And then as you get better, if you're paying attention, and as you practice, and as you see how they play, and as you experiment, or follow the steps in the book or the free download, your stuff's going to get better. And I think it was, I want to say Mark Twain, but maybe everybody says everything funny was said by Mark Twain. Mm-hmm. But he said, now, damn it, I'm not going to get this right. But there's a famous Mark Twain quote about how he wrote a story and he wished that he had had the time to write it shorter. That writing the long version is quick, but writing the short version is difficult. And I think that's absolutely true of writing, that editing your essay down from 10 pages to 7 will strengthen it. Editing your sentences down from 15 words to 8 words will strengthen the impact of those sentences. And the same exact thing is true of video, which is you may start with a 13-minute video, but as you get better, you're going to learn what to leave out, and you're going to learn how to let the audience's ability to follow action speak for you, so that you're just cutting out all the boring stuff or the stuff that's not particularly interesting to watch.
Was that Mark Twain's quote? It says, I didn't have time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long one instead?
Yeah, maybe that was it. Thank you. Sorry. I'm a last-minute guest. I didn't have time to dig through the Mark Twain quotes.
Research. Absolutely. Yeah. It definitely sounds like, it seems like as you develop as, a video producer, you are as opposed to my example of, say, writing, you're going to be more effective in your videos, and an effective video, as as you've been on the show before to say,
Mm-hmm.
isn't a long video. An effective video is one that gets the point across in as little time as possible.
Yes.
One that engages
I
and
think
is very brief.
I think this goes to the heart of things like Vine. All of these short videos that they became popular. In 6 seconds or less, you had to say it. I mean, that really challenged uh, the industry. I don't know if Vine is still around or if they made the videos
No,
long.
no, they're still around. They're still around.
Yeah, but they're
Sure,
still.
and Instagram videos aren't very long either,
Yeah.
just because nobody watches them for that long.
Yeah.
But I think though that I like to use the word literacy about video because I think that the correlation with writing is very strong. So first, you need to know what your intent is or what question you're going to answer. With video especially, you need to know whether the medium can answer that question or not. So if you look through my website at stevestockman.com, you'll see like a couple entries ago was a professor who sent me a video he did, a teaching video, and he wanted to know how he could make it more watchable. And so we talked about those things that make a teaching video more watchable and what could improve his, which were pretty good to begin with. I think it's posted up there.
It is.
So once you know the intent and what it is you're trying to do, then you have to learn story. You have to learn that a video, like I would say a good essay, has to have a beginning, middle, and end, and it has to have a hero. It has to be about someone. And an essay, even if it's about gravity, or maybe the exception is some of these more scientific things, but if you read most essays, they're about someone's journey through something. If you open the New Yorker and start reading these stories, some of the best written material that's published in America today, New Yorker magazine, you open those essays and you'll see the reporters taking journeys into their stories. And they have very clear beginnings, middle, and ends, and they're either about a human being, very focused on that, or they're about the reporter and the reporter's journey, or they're focused on taking you from one story to another story and showing you how those things connect. And that story structure becomes very, very important in video, even more so than in essays. So that's the second thing that you would want to teach. After focusing them on what they're going to say, you want to focus them on what's the story here? How are we going to tell this story?
Mm. Do you find that videos are suffering the same fate that we're finding from writers, and that technology is making them less relevant or more difficult, or they're only taking the cream of the crop because there's no more room left for the second tier level? I mean we're seeing newspapers fade away, magazines are fading away. They're all going digital. Everything. Do you think videos are they an exception to the rule? Or are they suffering a similar?
No, I think it's absolutely true. I mean, if you look at YouTube, which is still the best compilation of collection of videos in the world, mm-hmm. It's very hard to get YouTube to show you a bad video because its algorithms are all oriented towards showing you videos that work well. Mm-hmm. So you really have to look if you want videos that aren't good. And I think it's true that people, if you have literally 10 million choices at any moment that you're watching video on your laptop or your phone, there's no reason for you to stick around and watch anything mediocre. Yeah. And that's the problem. This is the real reason that we need video literacy, is because the bad stuff doesn't work anymore. I mean, if you think about, I don't know about when you were a kid, but when I was a kid, before the advent of cell phones and video being ubiquitous, people would, department stores and electronics stores would put monitors in the windows of their shops, and so sure. When you walked by, there'd be a camera, and the camera would be showing you as you walked by on the sidewalk, and people would stop and wave at themselves. And they'd look and they'd be amazed that there they were on TV. I mean, that was astounding, right? Well, it's not that astounding anymore. And as a result, our standards for what we're willing to watch on TV on our video screens in whatever form we're watching them have changed dramatically. And we're not going to sit still for crap anymore.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a nice.
So yes, you're right. I mean, the bar is much higher, which is why we need to teach video literacy in schools, because as a communication medium, it's not going anywhere.
I mean, we didn't do. We had a new story queued up, Ben, but we didn't do it about some people who are now or selling video or making money by producing videos on YouTube. There was a story yesterday about that. We didn't get to it. Maybe we'll get to it.
Oh, no. That was Facebook integration. Like they're trying to get YouTubers and streamers and stuff like that to, share their videos on Facebook, and then they do like an ad revenue kind of share kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
And
exactly.
but yeah, no. We're seeing that even in a place, I don't know if you call Facebook sanctified or deified, whatever. But it's even in like news feeds that when Facebook first started were just status updates and text and what have you. No, that's going to be packed full of videos coming up here soon.
Yeah, exactly.
By everyone.
Steve, we're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a little break, and then we're going to continue on with you. So we're talking to Steve Stockman. He is the author of the best-selling book, How to Shoot Video That Doesn't Suck, now in Chinese. Yeah. 347-884-8881. I'll get down and get you through. We got that Logitech contest. We're giving away that Bluetooth M535 wireless mouse. We have another news tips to review from Marty Winston coming up as well. That's all happening. Stay with us. Steve will be back with us. This is Computer America.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? That's so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Hot. I saw a dog steam clean a hydrant. Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Micro Semi PD104 GOAC Outdoor PoE switch. PoE, that's Power over Ethernet. This is built like military gear with a solid vent-free metal case and protective nipples over its 4 RJ45 PoE ports and its SFP upstream port. It's got a grounded power plug, ground wire, and those ports, and that's all that reach through the box. There's no fan. There's lots of anti-surge protection, a package that refuses to let in the weather. We can easily interface PoE surveillance cameras and maybe a wireless access point through this invisibly and inaudibly. So bottom line, the Micro Semi PD104 GOAC Outdoor PoE switch gives us powered gigabit Ethernet where other switches wouldn't survive. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour here as we continue on with Mr. Steve Stockman and, talking all about video literacy and, just some basic tenets that you should follow when understanding just when making video, what you should understand about just what you're trying to do with the video. And so far we've covered topics like, number one, which is, of course, what is the question I'm answering? Because you don't want to, just like you said, have a broad, open-ended question, and then your video rambles because you don't have a point to make. And then, of course, number two, if I could remember 10 minutes ago, point number two was tell a story. Have some kind of beginning, middle, and hero, follow their journey, what have you. And like Steve said, sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do, but there should be some level of a story to tell in there, because otherwise, who's going to care if if nothing really happens during the course of the video? So, and these seem like very general guidelines when you should shoot a video, but it seems like they're general enough that you can apply them to everything, like you said, from a corporate video that is that's going to be shown to potential investors or to new trainees or to even school projects and things like that. And I guess continuing on with the points. So video literacy, is there a point 3?
There is, and that is that you can train video literacy, and it's not even that difficult. So I wrote this whole book. I'm a director. I've been making my living that way for a long time, but I wrote this whole book because I went to Summer Stars, which is a nonprofit camp for underprivileged youth like 11 to 14. And I go every year. In fact, I'm going next week to teach there in Massachusetts. And I started teaching a music video course there about 14 years ago. And kids would show up and they'd be in the class and we'd teach them about how to shoot video. And the goal was they would actually make a music video with me and my editor by the end of the week. And they knew nothing about video. I mean, they didn't really know how to frame it. They didn't really know what a shot looked like. And I assumed it was because these were underprivileged kids and they didn't have a lot of exposure to video, which was, it turns out, a wrong assumption. So time passes and the video explosion happens 4 or 5 years ago, and I start running into people who are taking more video because these pocket cameras become ubiquitous and everybody's videoing everything, and it turns out that nobody understands anything about video. And the reason is that until the big video explosion, we never asked anyone to know anything about video. We didn't expect that you would know how to shoot a coherent, entertaining 2-minute piece of footage, because the only people we ever asked to do that were professionals like me. So I developed this course at Summer Stars in how to train kids to be better at video, and really 5-6 hours worth of instruction can take people from I really have no idea what I'm doing to, hey, this is pretty watchable. And I think that in schools, because video is such an important communications medium, and because kids consume so much of it, that learning how it's made and how it fits together would be a great education for them. And also because some of them will need to make it or buy it from someone else who's making it for them, that video literacy becomes super important. And in corporations, if you're Zappos a few years ago, your video literacy and the video culture that you created inside the company made you hundreds of millions of dollars in your sale to Amazon that you wouldn't have had otherwise. And there are other examples of companies that use video really well. Dollar Shave Club, for example, which just sold last week.
Right. Yeah.
That was sold on the power of marketing that came really from their introductory video about 3 years ago, which if you go back and look at it is still brilliant. But it means that somebody inside the company knew what message they were going to get across, what they could convey, and did it in a super entertaining way that attracted attention. The ability to do that is real money in business. So I think video literacy, both in schools and in business, is super, super important, and you can train it.
Yeah, I remember watching some of those videos, and although I
Oh, they're
didn't,
very persuasive.
they were extremely persuasive. Yeah, to get it, it sounded, because quite frankly, you buy a Gillette razor and it's like, for not that much, and then of course the blades are like $50 a pack, you know, and they made
Exactly. Who doesn't feel bad about spending so much money for something that you just throw away? And Dollar Shave Club with their videos were able to very easily capture that sentiment of why are you wasting so much money, and why are you bothering yourself with all this hassle when you could just pay us a little bit of money and we'll take care of it for you. So
yeah.
Right, but
they
it
did
takes
that
a
very well.
certain, it takes some training and some smarts to, well, first of all, make a video like that, and their video is very professional, so I assume they had some help with it. But even to be the curator of that kind of video, to be the person who hires the video company and looks at what they're planning on doing and goes, that explains who we are. That's really great communication. Even to be able to do that, the more that you've learned about how video gets made, the better you're going to be at that, and that's super important skill going forward.
Mm. Yeah.
The thing about, we used to talk in business about the cost of entry. That was a big MBA thing, was, well, how much is it going to cost these people to compete with me if they have to set up their own aluminum can factory or whatever the hell it was that cost millions and millions of dollars. So business and became built around, and the competitive strategies became built around this cost of entry. Well, nobody's going to build a giant toy company now because we dominate the market, and it would cost them hundreds of millions of dollars. The problem with video and with this more entertainment economy that we're in right now is that the issue isn't really the cost of entry. The issue is the cost of exit. So, for example, if you're husband and wife who are leaving your daughter at home, your infant daughter with a babysitter, and the two of you are going out to dinner and a movie, that's going to cost you $150 potentially to pay the babysitter, to pay for parking, to pay for the movie tickets, to eat somewhere that isn't McDonald's, right? You're spending a ton of money, and it's time, and you've had to plan it. There's a huge investment. So for you to walk out of the movie that you've selected, big cost of exit. You're gonna have to go, well, we're willing to throw away all this investment. Plus, you have to communicate somehow in the movie theater that you both want to leave, which is difficult. So big cost of exit there. But on your phone, the cost of exit is zero, right? People who are looking at your stuff 6 seconds in can go, worthless, click, and they're onto something else. So the problem that you have in video, in any kind of video communication, is that the cost of exit is zero. And this doesn't change if you're doing a school video or if you're doing a company video. No one is going to give you points for the fact that it's a company video if you're asking them to spend their time watching it. Like, we wouldn't watch a boring Dollar Shave Club ad any more than we would watch a boring anything else. So nobody goes, oh, well, that's for the Dollar Shave Club. I am obligated to sit here and watch this. No. And you can see this on YouTube with you can skip this video in 5 seconds. People are getting very good at attracting your attention in that first 5 seconds and intriguing you and pulling you in. And this is smart because there's an entertainment expectation when we're doing video now. That is, we're saying to someone, hey, watch this video. And what we're really saying is, if you watch this video and give us your time, you will get something of value in return. If we fail to deliver something of value in return, they're gone and they're never coming back. And the next time we say, watch this video, they're going, no way, you wasted my time last time.
Funny you say about the 5-second ad thing and the skip. One company in particular, and I believe it's Geico, they started making their ads. I don't know if you've seen this, just poke around the internet, but they've started making their ads 5 seconds long.
Mm-hmm.
Like they squeeze, the entire, funny picture, non sequiturs, and this is brought to you by Geico. Thank you for your time. And 5 seconds and they're done. They aren't the worst things in the world. They're again they're non sequiturs, and don't exactly follow a story, but you definitely appreciate, especially when you're just, kind of goofing off on YouTube, someone who doesn't, take too much of your time to get a point across.
And maybe give you something slightly amusing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those guys, I mean, they've really built a reputation over the last 20 years of doing a certain style of advertising, and I think they can play on their format, their established format, in a 5-second thing. It would be probably a little more difficult for a company to establish itself in 5-second increments, but maybe not. I'm sure somebody's doing it and being incredibly clever about it. But yeah, that's
all I can think about it is head on, apply directly to the forehead. That's the only thing running through my mind. Those were the worst commercials, but those be the last words I die with in my head. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. It's gonna be weird. So, all right, so that's good. And by the way, folks, just want to make it perfectly clear that everything that we're talking about here, and also a lot of great resources, as you can see on the video portion of the show, that's stevestockman.com. Everything is, you have a lot of great entries here showing just what, and yeah, and actually you're right. This, you actually just put this video boot camp up today, didn't you?
I did, for you.
Very cool, very cool.
Sure.
So, yeah, and definitely go check that out. So, all right, so
yeah, the video bootcamp's like a 5-hour training thing that you can use in classrooms, or you can use it in your workplace to increase the video literacy of your team. The other thing, the last thing I want to suggest about video literacy is that if you have a company or a classroom, I guess, there are probably people in that classroom or company that already are very interested in video. If you have a company of a couple hundred people, you've got at least 4 or 5 people who already know how to edit, who use their cell phones all the time and take really good little movies with them. And those people might not be obvious to you. So if you want to build a corporate culture that uses video, and you want to find people inexpensively who can help your company upgrade its video literacy, ask people in your company who's interested in video, and then you might offer them training, bringing in a highly paid director from Hollywood, for example, to train them, or have them practice, or send them to courses in your area on video courses, or buy them online video courses that they can use themselves, or upgrade their equipment for them, or otherwise really inexpensively invite them to help your company put up better video on your website, post it on YouTube, post it on Facebook, and get it out to the world. They're already there, those people. We just have to look for them and encourage them.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. We only have like about 6 or 7 minutes left, Steve. Your observations, I mean, all these things that have come to pass, I mean, it's easy not to say, oh yeah, well, I saw that coming, but I mean, with the when Vine first came out and it started doing things in 6 seconds, 6-second videos and all this next generation of activities in the video arena. Do you think this is obviously part of the way our social is set up now, our social backgrounds? I mean, everything is, we want it quick, we want it fast, we want it immediately. Do you think that's going to change? Do you think it's just going to get even worse? I mean, what directions do you think videos? I mean, I understand the underpinnings of what makes a video great is probably always going to stay the same.
Do you think that in 5 years it's just going to be virtual reality and people are going to be experiencing videos and not just watching videos?
Yeah.
Oh, on another show we could talk about virtual reality, because I've been studying that quite a bit lately, and it's really interesting. But let's not go there yet. We'll just tease it for later.
All right.
I think when you say worse, Craig, I don't feel the same way about it. I think that the idea that video communication needs to entertain and intrigue people in order to reward them for watching is a truth that's been inherent in all forms of film and video communication since it was invented. I think what you're seeing happen is, as the audience becomes better educated and more aware of video formatics and things that have been done before, that is, as we grow up watching hours and hours and hours of video, because even baby boomers, were raised on it from age 3, we just don't tolerate the bad stuff anymore, and our level of sophistication grows. And as our level of sophistication grows, it becomes possible to communicate to us in 5-second blips that it wasn't possible to communicate to us in 1942. If you watch old movies, especially from the 30s, right after sound started, but before people got really sophisticated about moving the camera with sound, you'll find there's a lot of scenes that you would just cut now. You could do a 90-minute movie in 35 minutes from 1937 because they're showing you, to get somebody from the office to home, they showed them going down the elevator and out the door and getting into a cab and then getting out of the cab and then going into the apartment building and then going up the elevator and then going into the house. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but they showed a lot of stuff they didn't need to show because at that time the audience didn't understand film well enough for them to skip it. But now we would show someone in their office and then we would cut to them at home and we would know exactly what happened and we wouldn't be confused at all.
Excellent example, by the way. Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so now what happens with your 5-second videos is we know so much about video, we are so well trained because we've been watching videos since we could toddle, that we understand things faster. And I don't know that that's a bad thing. I think what it means is that we have to continually up our game in terms of how we're communicating and how we're intriguing people. And we need to know that those crappy videos that we make in an amateurish fashion and then ask people to watch in a classroom or in a company, it is not going to work.
Well, you know, I think we see similar patterns even within the movies we go to today. I mean, the movies today, they're all with CGI and these incredible things, and they have to make them bigger and faster and better and more action because, when you see
if you ever want to see a prime example of that, go watch the entire Fast and the Furious franchise, just movie 1 to movie 7, I think they're on. It just gets bigger, and or the Expendables, it just gets bigger and badder.
And I was watching just a preview of a movie that was an ad for it, and it was just like a little romantic comedy about this and that. And there's none of and I said to myself, gee, how is a film like that going to make it in this, mega super thing that our movies are keep expanding into,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think there's a place for things that are about smaller things, but what they can't be is boring. So it means that every scene in a romantic comedy now or a small movie like the one you're talking about, every scene needs to be dialed in because the audience just is less willing to waste its time than they might have been. I don't think it means that they won't watch that stuff. But it may mean that you have to do it better than you used to do it because it just isn't going to work otherwise. No one's going to sit still for it.
Does that improve the art form? I mean, is that a good thing? I mean, maybe it's forcing us to be better and better and do it better. I mean,
I don't think it's necessarily bad. The good stuff will still be around in 25 years, and the bad stuff will be forgotten, which is kind of the way it always is. But I think you do have to up your game to make a difference now.
Yeah, exactly. So what's next for Steve Stockman? Are you going to write on the book, or are you going to keep?
You're going to that camp to teach.
Yeah, the camp. Yeah.
I am continuing to produce television shows. Next week I'm going to teach at Summer Stars, which is summerstars.org, in case you want to donate money, because we're always looking for that. I'll be talking more on my website, stevestockman.com, about back-to-school stuff, and you can ask questions on the website and leave comments, and I'm relatively responsive. And I'm working on another book that I'm not going to talk about, but it is not about video.
Oh, okay. I mean, a totally different direction.
Well, not totally.
All
It's about creativity and art, but it's not
right. Well,
about
that's good.
video per
Well,
se.
that's
But I
well,
will tell you about it as soon as it's ready.
yeah, and that's what your book is indirectly about creativity and art, just doing it better. The method behind it to make
Yeah.
it. Which is
Yeah, I think if you read How to Shoot Video That Doesn't Suck, you will not be shocked by the new book's direction.
Look, we got about 4 minutes left. How about a quick preview into virtual reality? Real quick.
Okay. Here's the thing
What are
about
you studying?
virtual reality.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what to do with it yet. This is what I've discovered. There are a bunch of things that you can do with virtual reality. On one hand, if you imagine a giant continuum from left to right, on the far right side is a virtual reality immersive experience like a movie, but a movie where you can look around in 360 degrees and you're sort of in it the whole time. Okay, that's on one end. On the other end of virtual reality is a program that responds to you in all kinds of different ways so that your response is critical to making the program work. So imagine a Nintendo Wii, but it's virtual reality, so you're playing tennis with someone and with paddles, but you can see the paddles because you're wearing your headsets, and you can see the ball in VR. So it's like an exercise program, but you're in it. So that's completely immersive and completely active. And on the other side is completely immersive and completely inactive, right? And then in between is an entire universe of places where you can be completely immersed in this video and somewhat active or more active than others. Like those are the ones where you might be able to change the ending, or where they ask you to do things like pick up a flashlight and shine it on zombies that are coming at you, or you have to shoot, or that kind of stuff. Where your action directs the program, but you're not doing all of it.
Well, one thing I kind of want to ask you is that, I don't want to call the average viewer of video lazy, but I have heard the critique that those who may have watched some kind of movie, and of course there's never been a AAA blockbuster for virtual reality yet, but for those who watch video in VR, they say that it gets very tiring, trying to be alert 360 degrees around you. Do you think that VR can really take off if it's 360? If there's action happening around you all the time, people seem to be getting tired of, oh, is something happening behind me? Is something happening above me, below me, next to me?
I think that'll change over time. I mean, you have to remember that when Thomas Edison did the great train robbery in something like 1896, patrons ran fleeing from the theater because they thought the train was going to hit them. Okay? So I think that we have to learn the conventions, and this is the other big interesting thing about virtual reality today, is that there are no conventions set. It's not clear how to use it, and so when the audience is watching it, they don't know anything about the expectations, about the rules of the universe that they've entered, much the same way that audiences in 1896 didn't know that the train wasn't going to come through the front. Yeah. And that's partly about filmmakers getting good at it, and partly about the audience learning how it works. So yeah, I agree that especially initially, if you use a really high-end virtual reality system and you put on the headsets and you are completely immersed, it's a little tense for a while. And super cool, but a little tense, and it's not clear what you're supposed to do and how much you have to worry about what's behind you yet.
Right. Yeah, well, we heard and read stories about people, walking into walls and and falling over backwards because they think they're losing their balance, and on a high,
That's more danger of using virtual reality, not virtual reality video. Like that's be aware that your surroundings. If there's a rake in front of you, don't step on the rake, even though you're wearing glasses. It's It's something.
Well, the good programs that I've played with kind of give you a warning if you're stepping out of a circle. And you can kind of see how you can make sure you're clear in the circle, and then the program will watch out for you,
right,
a little bit. So if you step out of it, it starts to decompose, so you know that you've just crossed a line you're not supposed to cross. That way you can stay safe. But it's interesting stuff because nobody knows what to do with it. I mean, if you think about the way you look at the world normally, I'm standing here in my office, I'm looking at a computer screen, I got a window to my right, I'm not really worried about what's behind me. I think part of the reason that people worry about that in VR is because they're watching a zombie game and they're holding a gun in one hand and a flashlight in the other, and you don't know where the zombies are coming from, so of course you're going to be nervous to look around. I think that's the point.
I think I see a zombie behind you right now, Steve.
Yeah, it's possible. but if you're in a romantic comedy, or you're in a porn video, or you're in a the next Marvel virtual reality extravaganza, I don't think you're going to worry about being stabbed in the back.
Right.
You're gonna sort of learn the conventions of where you are and what this format of virtual reality is supposed to feel like.
All right. Well, again, Steve Stockman, author, How to Shoot the Video That Doesn't Suck. You can go to his website, stevestockman.com, or just head over to our website at computeramerica.com. It's right there on our homepage. The book is up there. The links are up there as well. And Steve,
and the free video boot camp.
Yeah, and the free video boot
camp.
Exactly. Yep. That's all there. And I want to thank you for being here with us on the show. And certainly,
thanks, guys.
Yeah, and have you back and talk more about virtual reality. I think that's the next thing we should be talking about, and augmented reality as well. Okay.
Cool.
Steve, thanks again. Have a great.
Thanks.
Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, there he goes. Again, Steve Stockman, How to Shoot Video That Doesn't Suck, and we're going to have him back again talking about augmented and virtual reality and the next time he comes on the show.
And sounds like a new book. So
yes, and the new book
should be a good trip.
Yes, absolutely. All right, we got computer and technology news coming up. Some very interesting stories. We'll be getting to those momentarily as we move into the second hour of the Computer America Show. Please stay with us.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show about computers and technology. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we just had Steve Stockman on the show. Always, it's a pleasure having him on the program. Very knowledgeable gentleman, and certainly when it comes to the world of shooting digital video, and provides lots of interesting insights. If you missed any portion of the show, we archive all of our programs at ComputerAmerica.com. Just click on the archive selection on the menu bar on any page at ComputerAmerica.com, and you can listen to it on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on Stitcher, Apple's iTunes, also the places you can listen to the show live, the IRN Radio Network, the TuneIn Radio Network. It's all at ComputerAmerica.com, the internet home of our radio broadcast. Everything you need to know about us is there at ComputerAmerica.com. There's a couple of quick notes. We had an email the other day from a gentleman who said that he could not get, he went to iTunes and could not listen to the July 28th show. That it was, he thought it was possibly something wrong with the length of the broadcast. Something that was like a minute longer than normal. And it turns out, I said to him, I said, no, we didn't think that's what it was. And I truly believed it was a technical issue with Blog Talk Radio. And it turns out that that's absolutely what the problem was. And I just got a notification from Blog Talk Radio just in this past hour saying that that the episode in question, which was the July 28th episode, which was actually the show on from the guest we had on, which was
Oh wow, I just had it in my head
Yeah,
too.
Picture Keeper. Picture Keeper. It was
That's right.
Picture Keeper. Couldn't get it. That has been corrected. They found what the problem was, and they have corrected it. And you can now get that episode at Blog Talk Radio. It is now available, and you can get it there. It was just a technical glitch, and they were able to fix it up. And so if you go now to that episode, you can download it. A little cloud icon, which means download it from the website, is fully functional. What I have not checked, I meant to, but I just ran out of time because I got the notification just before we went on the air, was iTunes. I need to launch a copy of iTunes and see if the episode is now available. And I would believe that it would be. And and if you did write to us, if you're the gentleman who wrote to us, just letting you know also that that episode is now available and everything is up and running and operational. So just thought we would give you a heads up on that. And again, thank you for letting us know about that, because had I not mentioned this to...
We would have just lost the whole show.
Yeah, we would have lost the whole show. So, but it's there now. Okay. So, and again, thanks to the technical support people over at Blog Talk Radio Network who are making that happen. Okay, let's see. What else? Oh, just before the break, I sent you. I just heard from one of the PR firms that is constantly pitching us for different, prospective guests. Karen Thomas PR. She's been around for a very long time. She pitched this thing. Some new, what's the common thing about virtual reality headsets? They're all big and bulky, and I said one day they're going to look like, sunglasses. They're going to be thin.
Yeah, you sent that, and I'm very hesitant. And folks, please join us over at the video portion, because we're going to put them up here real quick.
Yeah.
This does not look promising at all. I got to be honest.
Really, because they look amazing. They look like sunglasses. They're very lightweight. They're actually unveiling these, according to the website, this month in August. They're going to actually be unveiling them to the press. The actual press showing is going to be, the press launch is Monday, August the 8th at Marriott Times Square in New York City, is when they're going to be actually unveiling these. And
I am so skeptical. It is not even funny. Like, okay, Craig.
Yeah.
Facebook paid $1 billion.
Yeah.
For Oculus Rift.
Oops.
you don't think that a company that has that kind of capital behind it, you don't think that if this kind of technology was possible to get a good viewing experience, that they wouldn't do it?
I don't know. I mean, once you go down a particular direction and you have it, it may not. I mean, look, there's always a company coming out with that makes a quantum leap.
And another problem I see with this already is that the video is all pre-rendered. None of it is actual footage.
Well, they don't want to do an actual. This is all pre-release.
Well, they're saying demo here, and I've yet to see a single image of a demo.
Yeah. Well, they don't want to unveil it till the 8th of August. I'm watching the movie now as well, but the idea here is that it's like a pair of sunglasses, and it's not as isolating. And
second of all, how are there? Where are the sensors on this thing? It shows this gentleman here. He has his hands up, and all of a sudden his hands turn into guns. But it's just a pair of glasses. I've yet to see a single.
We'll go down to the bottom of the page. It's the VR ROM. It looks like it's an additional little. It looks almost like an iPhone, quite frankly, that it connects to. It's called the DLOS VR ROM pack. And that's
quad-core 64-bit.
Yep. That's part of that. That's what the glasses actually plug into.
And they really do undersell that this is going to have to be connected to this little device. But even so, Craig.
Yes.
Speaking as as someone who does technology every day of their life, you don't think that? Let's see.
Scroll down.
Like maybe the closest we get to this is like the Samsung VR, where you put in your Samsung Galaxy S7 whatever, and you turn that into a virtual reality experience. But to even compete with higher end stuff, like there's no way you're going to fit $1,000 to $1,500 gaming computer into a package this small.
Well, I don't know much about it except that they're promoting it, and I will be in touch with the PR agency. I know them
I
very
am
well.
so skeptical. It's not even funny.
Okay, but in a world of hopeful and wishing that someone's going to make a that's what happened with the iPhone. Look at phones before the iPhone came out. Look what phones were. They were flip flops. They were there, and then they came out with the iPhone. It was a quantum leap in the industry.
You say quantum leap, but the Droid had been out before that, and it was pretty good, and
Yeah,
the Sidekick was pretty good as well. I mean, it was an advancement in the user interface, but the technology was readily available. It's not like Apple invented a new microprocessor. They changed the user interface for phones going forward forever, but they did not change the technology behind the phone.
Well, we'll see, because I'm going to contact them and we'll see if we can get them on the show.
I'm saying Apple didn't invent new RAM. Apple didn't invent new processors or new technology behind it. They just put it all in a new package that no one had ever seen before. They changed the interface. This is changing interface and challenging the technology that we have. That's very skeptical.
Well, it is our job to be skeptical because we're with the press, but at the same time, it is also our job to keep an open mind and see what they're going to be talking about. Now, that's another version. That's a different unit. They have two different.
See, this looks more traditional.
Yeah, the glass H1. But it is. They have both.
Actually, now that I'm looking at it, I think you're supposed to wear the other ones with this with this over it.
No, that's a separate one. It's a separate product. But okay. Anyway, I thought I would bring it to your attention. If you're watching our live video feed, you can see a lot of what it is that
it obviously can't be that innovative and revolutionary if they're still hedging their bets and have another version out there that is more traditional to what we're used to.
Well, now of course the other ones are, I think, are augmented reality as opposed to virtual reality, because you can see through the glasses.
VR and AR.
And AR. Okay. Well, I just thought I'd throw it out there, and as I said, I'll contact them and see, and we'll see what. If you're watching the live video stream, you can see a little bit of what we're talking about. So those are the two things that I wanted to kind of mention to you. It's interesting that Steve Stockman said, we got lots to talk about it, and I'm not going to get into it this time. I was able to pull a little bit out of from him, but I think that he's going to save that for the next time he comes on the show in the next couple of months. Okay, we're about ready to do the news stories. Anything else you want to mention before we get started with our news portion of the program?
No. I think I am ready to go.
Okay, well, let's do some computer news. Today's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. Slimwareutilities.com. By the way, I hadn't heard any more yells of woe about Windows 10, past the deadline, but I did read a couple of articles about people saying, if you still want free Windows 10, you can do this or go here or do that. But it's over. Just thought I would mention that. Anyway,
no, the world did not come to a halt because all of a sudden you had to pay for Windows. Life continues as normal. The promotion has ended, and now we're going to see the true test about how fast the adoption rate goes, or rather how slow it goes after after you have to pay for it, because then you're really challenged. So what have you. Now, this first story, we actually talked about before, and this is one of the rare few times where we've had a story on the show, and it's been futuristic and weird, and it's like, oh well, hey, 10 years down the road, that might be really entertaining, and that might be the future of transportation. And very rarely do we see follow-ups to these things, because either they get lost in the minutia, or they're so far out that something happens and the production never really happens. Well, I am happy to report that's one of the stories that we did before, and if you're watching the video portion, and if you see the picture here, you may remember it. These are buses that straddle roads, kind of take up two lanes and let cars travel underneath them, while the buses use roads, you know, kind of overtop the cars.
I remember the story. I remember the story. It's a straddling bus. Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is from Popular Science, and this is from G. Clay Whitaker. And China's road straddling bus takes its first test drive. I don't think there are any videos of this, but you know, hey, it's made it further than most of the other technology that we've talked about here on the show. So, of course, it's you know, the article starts off by asking you how you feel about a bus zooming over your head as you're driving. And of course, it's a real question you'll have to ask in China, as the first test run of an experimental straddle bus was successfully completed this week. So China's large population has led to some fascinating, if unorthodox, advances in public transportation over the years, but the straddle bus designed by a company called Transit Explore Bus seems to be a winner. So it works just like you might expect. It's built with a cavity between the passenger section, and the cavity is high enough off the ground that it can pass over top of moving cars without any damage. So, you know, and like they're saying, they covered the concept here earlier. They have a link to the article. But now it seems that the concept will become a reality. Even though the test course didn't simulate real traffic conditions, it ran only 300 meters. So that's about 1,100 feet, something like that. Yeah. So it's proof that the bus operates. And I guess, you know, they're saying that figuring out the traffic will take time and learning anyway, and maybe some of the medication for claustrophobia, because again, looking at this bus, it looks like it would hold, you know, just as much, if not more, people than, you know, than a regular city bus. But I guess the advantage of a system like this would be that without changing the infrastructure, or at least very minimal changes to the infrastructure, you could have these things running, and they'd be able to shuttle a lot more people a lot faster, and they wouldn't have to fight traffic because they go kind of above traffic.
Yeah,
you know?
but the only thing, remember, I wondered about this, is that it's like you know, trucks, 18-wheelers. You see stories about them where a crossover bridge isn't quite high enough, and the truck runs into the bridge. There was just a story about that recently, that the bridge was too low for vehicles of that height. I'm wondering, these look so low that, you know, you couldn't have trucks, let's say, on that road, because I don't think they could clear a truck. They could clear a car, maybe a van, but certainly not a large truck.
The most immediate solution I have to that, and again, this is just Ben sitting here on a Tuesday, just kind of like, oh, well, what about that? The most immediate solution I have to that is to make a sensor on the front of this thing, and it will sense when a truck or whatever is in front of it is too high, you know, and of course it'd be a large van, a truck, an 18-wheeler, what have you. Make the roads 3 lanes long, or, you know, or some way that you could, you know, have a lane that this isn't covering, and just flash your high beams when you're behind these people, and they'll move over to the next lane. You get to cross, and they get to get back in their lane. You know, like, make them leave the lane that these straddle buses are using, and then after they're gone, then, you know, hey, you can keep going on your merry way.
Yep, I guess. But it's certainly encouraging to see something like that, you know, and obviously they're pursuing it.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, it's very, very cool. And like I said, we hear about these concepts all the time. I mean, the Hyperloop, we've been hearing about that for the past year and a half, and we're still getting, oh yeah, no, we just tested the engines, and yep, they're engines. Like this is one of the rare times that we're actually seeing a follow-up to to technology that we thought was pretty futuristic. So, like they said, there's still a lot more to do, but the fact that the body shape, and, you know, and that these rail-based vehicles actually work, hey, that's a step in the right direction.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, in the world of biometrics, this is interesting. Samsung, you know, again, I've always gone saying, if I didn't have an Apple iPhone and wasn't invested in the technology and everything, or that didn't exist, I would probably own a Samsung phone today. Because they always seem to be novel and innovative and doing really cool things with their phones. And this story from Engadget, Steve Dent just came out with it. Samsung's Pass will give you secure banking not with a fingerprint, but with an iris scan, your eye. And the company is working with Citibank and Bank of America and other banks to make this happen. And at Samsung's Unpacked 2016 event, it revealed that its Galaxy Note 7 will have a futuristic new way to sign in, and that's an iris scanner. It'll do much more, though, than just unlock your phone. Samsung also revealed Samsung Pass, which is the new security system that will let you access banking and other chores using your eyeballs. Okay. Samsung says that it's working with Bank of America, Citibank, U.S. Bank, and other firms on the new tech, because obviously when they do it, they have to have the cooperation with the other. I remember when I had my Touch ID for a while, virtually nothing worked with it. And now, banks are finally coming around and working with it. It takes time for them to get the infrastructure set up for these new technologies. Now, the iris scanner has reportedly been in the works for about 5 years and will also let you lock up folders, apps, and other content. Samsung also implied that its Samsung Pass app would work with other authentication methods, presumably codes, fingerprints, and the like. Other details about this are scant right now, but you'll get updated as we hear more about this technology. But there you go, an iris scan now built into your smart device. There you go.
Give it enough time, and there will be biometrics for your fingerprints. There will be biometrics for your eyes. There will be biometrics for, I'm sure brainwaves are being, are trying. I think that was one of the solutions someone came up with, was that you wear this helmet or you wear something, and it will, and depending on how you think of a particular memory, that would be your password. Is that it would trace, it would trace the activity in your brain, and only you would be able to mimic that, the activity in your brain to unlock your computer. Or even, I believe it's Intel's RealSense cameras. They'll be able to, kind of take a good 3D photo of your face and be able to unlock you just by smiling or looking at the camera. We're moving into a future where passwords, I think, are seen as a problem, and the easiest way around a password is going to be something that no one else can replicate. Yeah. And the human body, there's a lot of things that other people just don't have, be it your fingerprint, your iris, or how you think. But how much are we really willing to, I don't want to say give up, but how much are we really willing to let them scan and take note of before we say, maybe it's not the best idea if they have my fingerprint, iris, brain scan, face mock-up.
Well,
how far does this go, Craig? That's my question to you.
Well, supposedly it doesn't go very far, because, as you know, even with things like Touch ID and your fingerprints, then Apple doesn't have that information. Matter of fact, it's not replicated anywhere. It's in the phone itself. There's no database of.
They don't technically have your fingerprint,
no,
but they do have access to your password if you do that, because it syncs up and it sends the password to your phone. So you're giving up your password by doing that.
Yeah, but
we went through all of this when we talked about the shooters in California, and they wanted, and the FBI wanted access to the phone, but Apple was like, no, we can't do that. I keep on saying Cupertino, but it wasn't Cupertino.
No, it wasn't.
But no, and they're like, well, if they use the Apple Touch ID, then yeah, we'd be able to help you. We'd be able to send the signal, and we'd be able to unlock the phone for you right away. But you guys removed the Apple ID, Touch, and we're unable to, get into the phone anymore. Like, yeah, you kind of give up your password when you do that.
Well, it seems to be going that direction with Windows 10, facial recognition, all these different things that they're incredible. All these biometric techniques and technologies. I think that eventually it's going to be, because for the most part, a combination of password and biometric, or maybe just completely all biometric. I think that's the direction that we're going in. And as these technologies continue to improve, it's going to be harder and harder for people who want to crack them to crack them. So.
It's going to be harder and harder for people to crack them, but let's face it, just like most other data, it's going to be easier and easier to capture that data.
Mhm.
So, and that data may include your fingerprint, brain scan, eyeball.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But one good thing about data, or one bad thing, you know, depending on how you look at it, uh, there is an article we have here that delves into just this kind of thing that we've talked about with other, with other correspondents on the show, and that's the the idea of big data is here, where companies, every single company that has the capability and has the infrastructure, is going to collect as much data about you. If it's Facebook, if it's Google, if it's Apple, if it's Microsoft with their Windows 10, if it's any app that you use by a big publisher, any and everyone is going to collect as much data about you and your daily habits and your routines and what you like, what you don't like, what you do, and then they're going to categorize that data and sell it to others so that they can better advertise to you, so that they can track, so that they can use the data and develop better products for people just like you. The future is here already in that sense, where tons and tons and tons of personal data is being tracked about you every single day that you use technology. But here's something that that we've discussed before, and something that we saw with organizations like the NSA. And this is from ZL Tech. Never heard about them before, but they had a really cool blog entry. And it's the future is dark data.
Mhm.
And they have a statistic here saying that 80% of all data is completely unused.
Wow, what a waste.
What a waste, but also a good thing, because if you are one of the people who feel that, I don't like someone tracking me all the time, then hey, that could be a little bit good news, that not only are they tracking you, but because they're tracking so many people just like they're tracking you, they can't handle all the data that they're collecting, which essentially becomes useless data because there's too much of it. So let's get into this article here, saying that a couple of days ago, CRN did an article on Ed Harbor, the illustrious VP for IBM's Watson Group, where they talk cognitive computing and conspicuous little thing called dark data. So, of course, usually when the terms dark and anything revolving around something digital come around, some not so nice things pop up into people's heads, mainly due to horror stories and, of course, Hollywood. But for all of its potential nasty association, dark data is surprisingly benign, at least at first glance, as he says. So, of course, Gartner.com refers to dark data as, quote, the information assets the information assets organizations collect, process, and store during regular business operations, but generally fail to use for other purposes. For example, analytics, business relationship, and direct monetizing. So it's basically unused or unprocessed and usually unstructured data that sits in storage. So while that might sound not so bad, it actually gets a little nefarious when you start looking into it. So the thing is, an estimated 80% of stored data is dark data. Shout out to the good friend.
Yeah.
They're saying that it's not very good when you consider how much data is actually being created each day and how many tera or petabytes of data exist in, say, your average Fortune 500 company, or just your average business even. Because, like I said at the beginning of all this, most companies are storing and processing your data. And now I guess dark data, they're talking about data that is unprocessed, but is still stored. So, think about how much data influences your everyday life on, let's say, the internet. Craig, you like telling the story about, how my mother would look at blinds, and then every single Google ad, going forward for the next week was all about blinds and shades.
Freaked her out.
Right, and that is an example of process data that has been used and is being acted upon. All this data that is dark data is just like that, but is not acted upon. So it's still collected and it's still stored, just waiting to be tapped into. So, so they're saying, so let's have a look at the numbers here. The New York Times says that 90% of energy that's used by data centers is a waste, pure and simple. And IBM says that 60% of data losses, loses its value almost immediately. So, and amongst organizations in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, it's estimated that the cost of all this is upward to near $1 trillion. And that's not even considering the cost of that might come from something like a legal suit because of what I just said a paragraph ago. Not good.
Mhm.
So, the article finishes up saying that why does dark data even exist? Why even collect it in the first place if you're not going to use it? And it's because a lot of it comes from people's nature. We have a tendency to collect things the same way that you've heard that treadmill in your basement for the last 5 years is because, hey, I might actually use it someday, is the same way a lot of organizations approach data storage, unfortunately. So the other reason is that not all dark data is inherently bad. In fact, it's believed that dark data will be all the rage in the near future, especially with the development of cognitive computing a la IBM's Watson. So, of course, technologies that also already exist to isolate and get rid of redundant and useless dark data. So that's dark data, new term we shall all add to our lexicon.
Yeah.
But they're saying that it's not all bad, but it definitely has the air of, well, even if you're not using it, why are you collecting so much of it? And it's that sentence he said right there is that, hey, it might be used someday.
Right.
So,
but a lot of the value gets lost too the longer you wait.
well, yeah, what good is Ben was at Pinkberry buying a frozen yogurt. What good is that 4 years down the road?
Yeah.
It's that's useless data, but they do have the data on file. So,
all right. Well, other stories coming up. We're going to talk about Japan offering the very first 8K TV broadcast. 8K. Wow.
Just in time for the Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. And evidently, Apple won't have to pay a patent troll. You know what that is? $625 million after all. Why not? What's going on? And Samsung is revealing more about its Galaxy Note 7 smartphone. Those stories and more coming up. We've got some Pokemon stories, too, if we get to them. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. This is Computer America. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
One good thing about all this, son, vampires are now extinct. Marty Winston with a News Tip Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, Dog and Bone Lock Smart Bluetooth padlocks. We got in both a larger round slice of disc size and a smaller, squarer mini model of Lock Smart keyless Bluetooth padlocks from Dog and Bone. The base of each has a pairing button and a USB charging port. You can set up its app on several devices once you set up your login, and you can control multiple locks from within the app. We renamed the locks and added their pictures when we tested them. The app also lets you monitor each lock's remaining battery, and a brief recharge, even from a power puck, can make an otherwise dead lock usable. Bottom line, we don't always remember combinations or keys. So Dog and Bone Lock Smart Bluetooth Mini and Standard Padlocks let our handset take over. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
All right, and welcome back to the Computer America Show. We are doing computer and technology news brought to you by Summer Utilities. As we continue on here, where, just finished up with dark data, something you should add to your lexicon of words that may pop up in the near future. Don't be surprised, folks. I remember reading articles like this before the advent of UHD, ultra high definition. So, dark data, know what it means, inform yourself. But moving forward here, Craig, I believe it's your turn to choose a story.
Yeah, and 8K is in the headlines here. Again, we're just getting into 4K televisions and barely have enough content out there. Thank you. That is in 4K. I mean, I know Netflix.
Well, you say barely enough. There's really, like Netflix has a very limited selection, and DVDs and stuff like that a little bit, but really nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And here comes Japan. They're already introducing live television broadcasts in 8K. And according to this story, the Rio 2016 hasn't even started yet, but Japanese broadcaster NHK is already prepping for Tokyo 2020 because that's when the next Olympics are going to be in. They are going to be in Tokyo. Yeah. Okay. And this is just as we're getting. This is again from Engadget. This is from Richard Lawler. He says, just as we're getting used to ultra high definition 4K. Okay. Japan's NHK has kicked off its super high vision broadcasting tests, sending out 4K and 8K video via satellite. Unfortunately, there's no way to watch the super high-res feeds and 22.2 channel sound at home. Good grief. 22.2. And we got 5.1, and they're already up to 22.2.
Well, I've heard of 7.1, 5.1, and even like 7.2 and stuff like that. Yeah, but 22.2.
Yeah.
You're like, if you had a real speaker set up with 22.2, that is as immersive, I think, a sound as you could possibly need.
Yeah. The point two is 2 subwoofers and 22 surround speakers. And again, you wonder, because today with things like the Yamaha audio bars and things, you don't really need to have all those physical speakers because it will project the sounds, and it does it incredibly well.
You say you don't need it, but
hey,
they have the channels available if you want to tune into them.
That's right. And even with even with $130,000 8K TV, okay, there's no way to watch all of this, but interested Japanese residents can check out tests of the feeds at several public locations in Tokyo and Osaka. So they have it up for public display. NHK is using the Rio Olympics as a test bed for technology that it hopes to roll out first in 2018 and have ready for the public time for the 2020 Olympics in Japan.
You know what's even more impressive than 8K 22.2 surround sound picture?
What?
Especially for a Japanese person?
What?
Being there in real life. That's going to be much higher resolution and much better sound if you're actually there in person, and convenient enough. Instead of going out and buying a $130,000 television, hey, pay $13,000 for a couple of tickets to the Olympics.
Yeah. But then that's all you'll ever have when the Olympics are over. At least with the $130,000 8K TV, you'll have that after the Olympics, So I'm watching the live events.
Why are we undervaluing memories? Why?
I don't know. Now, according to the schedule, viewers can see pre-taped clips, including 8K test footage from the 2012 Olympics, and even a live broadcast, unlike the tape delay feed everyone in the U.S. will get, of Rio's opening ceremony. Some events will require reservations, but there will be viewing. There will be viewing on large projection screens and LCDs we've grown used to watching 8K on out at CES. Last week, several companies showed off 8K tech as they are working on to support broadcasting and viewing in the Cable Tech Show 2016 in Japan, including Panasonic's 8K ready cable and an 8K set-top box prototype from Pioneer. You know, again, I pause on the story and I wonder, you know, we have 4K, which is absolutely UHD, the super high definition, ultra high definition sets, and they're stunning. And now they're already going to 8K. I mean, where is it going to end? They come out.
To be fair, Craig. To be fair, you said yourself, and I believe you said it with Gene Steinberg actually.
That was a while back.
You guys were saying that there is no reason to go further than Apple Retina resolution or Apple Retina display. You're saying that that is the highest that the retina of your eyeball can differentiate, and going any further above is pointless.
I think they're doing it just because
we are so far beyond retina.
Yeah, we are.
That it just goes to show that, you know, whenever you put a stop to technology, whenever you say this technology is the best it ever needs to be, or this is the best it will ever get, you're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong in 3 years. You're going to be wrong in 2 years. You're going to be wrong in 10 years. Technology is never going to hit a cap like that. So when you say, you know, where's the end? Where does, you know, what is beyond 8K? 16K. Wait 5 years. There's going to be a 16K. Wait 2 years. There's going to be a 16K television that's going to be $200,000. But the technology is going to be developed. It's never going to stop.
Then we'll have 32K after that.
32K, and then eventually we're just going to get to, you know, the point where we're just saying, oh, you know, hey, it's oh, you got one of those 128K televisions? Oh, well, yeah, you know, I just got 32K, but you know, yeah, I guess the job done. Technology is never going to stop, and it's never going to stop improving. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the author goes on to say that in 2012, he saw an 8K test broadcast in Washington, D.C. delivered from London via internet too, but he hasn't heard anything about any public viewing set up for the 2016 games. Here in the U.S., the closest you'll probably come is a downscaled to 4K feed on tape delay provided by Comcast, DirecTV, or Dish Network. Still, it's never too soon to start measuring an 85-inch space on your wall to fit an 8K display for proper Tokyo 2020 viewing. And there you go. So
I like it.
It'll never stop.
It will never stop. Never ever.
Nope. Okay.
Why would it?
Well, it's like higher capacity drives. It's getting higher and higher and higher, and that'll never stop either. But you know, the point is, at least with storage capacity, there's a reason for it. It gets with video. It's so
well. Let's put it this way. With higher storage capacity, you get to say, because, you know, think of the file size difference between a 4K resolution video and a 1080p resolution video. The file size is so immensely different.
Yeah.
But with so much more data, you get such a better picture. You get, you know, you get better sound, you get better picture, because it's just storing more things for, you know, for your monitor to actually display. You know, you get more zeros and ones. So we're going to need those higher capacity storage devices. We're going to need those faster internet services. We're going to need, you know, these better cables and set-top boxes, because, you know, all of it's tied together with better resolution. You know, you can't have better resolution if your bandwidth to project that, you know, that amount of data doesn't exist. So, you know, it all ties together. With better memory comes better picture, comes better monitors, comes better cables, comes better internet connections. It's all going to get better incrementally together. Yep. Okay. Well, I guess that's the end of that. So let us move on to Pokemon Go. It's been getting a lot of crap lately. You know, I know for a fact that they, whoever their community manager is not doing the best job conveying the wishes of Pokemon Go. But regardless of what kind of hassle it's been having, it's still immensely popular. And let's have a retrospect because I think it's about a month old now, or maybe like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But it's a little look back at what is the most popular application in the world. And Pokemon Go hits 100 million downloads today.
Yeah.
This is by Mariella Moon. Actually, yeah, today. So, or yesterday. I don't know. But it hit 100 million downloads, and it's also earning $10 million a day. So, if you're sitting there in an office and you're earning, let's be aggressive here, $25 because you're a white collar worker and you're doing $25 an hour. Pokemon Go is earning $1 million a day.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're making way more than you are. And it's crazy that just a little app about catching Pokemon, which again is free to download, is making that much money. Yeah. Insane. So Pokemon Go is still going strong. This, by the way, again from Engadget. Despite privacy scares and feature bugs, according to a report by App Annie, it has now been installed over 100 million times, up to 25 million times from late July. And they say from late July, that was a week ago.
Yeah.
That was a week ago. So while the numbers from an analyst report and the actual number of downloads could be slightly different, it's not hard to believe. As TechCrunch has noted, the game was downloaded 50 million times on Android within only 19 days, according to the previous estimates, whereas it took 77 days for Color Switch to get to that point. Color Switch being another viral application. So they're saying that it also earns $10 million a day from both iOS and Android apps, and over the 3 weeks after it was released. So despite its success, it doesn't seem to have an adverse effect on other applications. So yeah, the analyst report mentions that the other games saw their revenue drop for a few days after the app was launched, but they quickly bounced back. And further, it has helped popularize augmented reality apps and has given other developers an example of how to create engaging games. So it's saying that Pokemon Go is actually a boon to other applications. Like, it's not crowding out the market just by being one very popular game. People are still going back to what they were playing before, and people are actually more interested in other similar types of applications, which hadn't happened before. So, and they have a quote here, but I'm not going to read it, so that's pretty much it. But yeah, Pokemon Go, other than the little hiccups it's been having, it has definitely paid for itself, I would think. Yeah. It's, very, 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 very popular and very successful.
And there's another related Pokemon Go story, again from Engadget, about the people who make Pokemon Go. They explain why they block third-party apps.
Speaking of one of those hiccups.
Yeah, why don't you take that?
Take that one too. Oh, right. All right. Yeah, we can do that. Okay, there we go. So, Pokemon Go, like we reported on maybe even yesterday, they did some stuff that people thought were, not enjoyable, to play in the game, because people were making these third-party applications that they would then use in conjunction with the Pokemon Go app to make the experience a little bit easier to play. So here we have Niantic explaining why it did away with them. And this is, again, from Engadget, Matt Smith. And yeah, Pokemon Go makers explain why they block third-party applications, where the developer said that third-party services were, quote, interfering with our ability to maintain quality of service for our users, which sounds like a non-answer. But yeah, so according to the article, it's the itch that you just can't stop scratching, and one where a wave of unofficial Pokemon Go apps and web-based maps help clue you in exactly where those jinx were hiding or other rare Pokemon. So unfortunately, alongside an app update last week, the team behind the app shut down data access to third-party services like Pokevision. So it released a statement to users on its Facebook page saying that the services were, quote, interfering with our ability to maintain quality of service for our users and to bring Pokemon Go to users around the world. End quote. it added that the huge number of users had an effect on its rollout plans. So the company says it removed its three-step Pokemon detection legend in order to improve upon the underlying design. And we went over the 3 steps and how it was buggy, and instead of fixing it, they simply just took it out. Because that's what you do when you have features that aren't working. You remove features.
Mm-hmm.
So not the best thing. So Niantic also apologized for not tweeting so much during the rollout of the application, saying that it'll try to do better in communicating what's going down in the future, which I think would be best. People certainly do like the game. It's just the lack of communication really does seem to be hurting them a lot. So and they do have something there on Facebook that they sent out. It's an update saying how they're going to improve in the future, and they did hint at some other quality of life changes, but their answer as to why they stopped supporting or why they stopped sending data to third-party application makers is that they said it was interfering with their quality of service.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely don't like that answer. It doesn't explain if it interfered with the quality of service, then people wouldn't use the apps because it would be an inferior service and it would be inferior to just playing the base game.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't what was happening. Instead, they just blocked third-party apps because they felt people were, getting an advantage or just doing things in a way that they did not intend.
Yep. Okay. So Pokemon Go isn't going anywhere. It's here to stay.
It's not the first time that a game has been super, super hyped and super, super excited about. And through the company's inability to communicate what they're actually doing, it wouldn't be the first time that a video game specifically has gone under because of the poor communication. That is what happened with Star Wars EA, Star Wars Battlefront, where they didn't really communicate with their customer base. And it was one of their most popular Star Wars games in the entire franchise. But going forward, the content that they had lined up wasn't engaging enough, and their user base is a shadow of what it once was. Just because it's on top today doesn't mean that Niantic can't make a lot of wrong moves and lose everyone the next day.
Yep. It's happened before. It can happen again.
Exactly.
What was it? Farmville, right? Like, there was
that. Yeah, and like that. It died kind of a slow death, kind of how fast it took off, and then it was valued at like $2 billion as a company.
Mm-hmm.
And then like a year later, everyone's thinking, whatever happened to Farmville? And they're like, oh, the company's now worth $33 million and it's going under. It's, no game truly sticks around that long. And usually they die a pretty sudden death.
Unless they're lasting.
Well, yeah, and very, very few games are lasting. I mean, League of Legends is currently 60 years old and still going strong. I mean, it's 60 years is ancient. And then you have things like, Guild Wars 2 and World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy. Very, very few games make it past a certain point. And applications, even less so. I mean, do you really see anyone out there playing Candy Crush still? It's, apps come and go, and it's going to be up to Niantic if they keep up with the updates and they keep up with the communication with their fan base, whether it turns into a 2-month game or if it turns into, a multi-year game.
Are you saying Candy Crush is on its way out or already gone? Because
I haven't heard any stories about it.
And what about Flappy Bird?
I haven't heard anything about that either. Again, these applications die quick deaths.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, but most of us know what a patent troll is, right? It's a company that basically gets a patent just for the sake of the patent, and then when someone takes it, they go.
It's a very ambiguous patent. It's kind of like a company will say, "I patent the use of taking a photo of an object on a white background with light coming in from the top left." Mm-hmm. It's like, and like anyone who uses a promotional shot of a product, of a product on a white background with a light, all of a sudden they are hit with a lawsuit
Coming from the left.
saying you used our patent.
Coming from the left. Yes, exactly.
Yes, just something that ambiguous and something that stupid gets patented, and bing, bang, boom. These companies make their living off of something that's so common.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
of course, someone's going to infringe on that patent.
Yeah, of course, and it's a slanting. It's a
problem.
It's an application of something that really shouldn't be done. I mean, it's like a loophole. They find a loophole. However, this story from Engadget again. Apple evidently will not have to pay a patent troll $625 million after all. A judge ordered a retrial, saying references to an earlier case prejudiced the jury. This is the company was called Viranex X. They're the patent troll. And they won multiple patent lawsuits against Apple, including a recent $625 million judgment over FaceTime and VPN tech. However, it appears it overplayed its past success during that trial. After Apple appealed, a federal judge threw out the judgment and demanded a retrial. The reason? Vernet X inappropriately mentioned the previous verdict, possibly prejudicing the jury against Apple. I guess two can play the same game, right? You find a legal technicality for one, and you can find a legal technicality to undo it. Viranet X did have the right to bring up the November 2012 case in an effort to prove that Apple willfully infringed its patents. However, the judge said the company brought it up when it shouldn't have. He cited one example. See, at the November 2012 trial, Apple said those same remarks about not using the patent. And the jury didn't believe them and agreed with us, Viranet X's lawyer said. That comment, the judge felt, may have been prejudicial. Under the circumstances here, the repeated references to the prior jury verdict is in the consolidated case resulted in an unfair trial. Okay.
So I guess the prejudice being, well, and was the lawyer's statement saying, well, people didn't believe Apple then, and I guess he said that one too many times, and the judge felt that by saying, well, Apple was a liar then, they made the jury think that Apple is a liar. Apple as a company is a liar, which is something that you can't really do. Yeah. I assume is the point of that.
Right. Well, the judge also felt that combining two lawsuits, one over FaceTime and the other over VPN technology, into one trial created a potential for juror confusion. And as a result, he threw out the judgment and ordered two new trials, with the first starting on September 26, 2016, which is also my birthday. Viranet X fits the definition of a patent troll, as it uses its patent portfolio to sue successful firms and rarely develops its own products. Following the judgment, the company's share fell 44.6%. They're quoted as saying, "We are disappointed by the court's decision to vacate its prior ruling on consolidation and ordering the parties to retry the case as two separate matters." This was from the Viranex CEO and president. But there you go.
It sounds, and of course, next day we're going to hear, and the judge just retired to their Apple mansion in the Apple Mountains as Apple just paid off the judge. No, it's, we've talked about this problem before in the U.S. where patent trolls and patenting new ideas, and in technology, let's face it, there are very, very few original ideas in technology. It's combining old methods and old technology into something new that you get an innovation, and is building upon things that have already been done. That makes it really hard for someone new to come in and say, look what I just did, without someone else saying, I did that before you, and I have all the rights to it. Patent trolling, patent in general, was supposed to spur innovation by saying, hey, whatever you create, it's yours. We encourage you to do it, and we'll protect you, from others stealing your technology. It was supposed to promote innovation. And instead, we're finding in this day and age where you can file a patent for really anything, it's actually limiting and prohibiting innovation. And
You know, there was a famous movie. It was a true story about the gentleman who invented the intermittent windshield wiper. And there was one.
That sounds like the most exciting film I have ever heard of.
Actually, it was weird, but there was one point where the people who was from said, he didn't do anything original. He was using existing parts to come up with something, and he just kind of put them together in a different way, and that's what he did. But he had nothing original in there, and that's when he pulled out a book and he started reading the words that it. And he took several different best of, but you put those words together. Best of times, it was the worst of times. Together, they came up with Tale of Two Cities, and he won the case based on that. And it's something very, very similar. Good
right.
movie.
It's okay. No. I was gonna say that patents and patent trolling and stuff like that. It's probably going to go under reform in the not too distant future, just to make sure that in a day and age where really no one is standing on their own, everyone is standing on the accomplishments of someone before them. Yes, you should have your product and you should be able to market it.
90 seconds.
And you should be able to pull the proceeds that you have worked on from it. But at the same time, you should not be able to go out and register, just like Vertinet X, who I've never even heard of before, say that Apple, the idea of talking to someone face to face through an iPhone is completely our idea and you stole it.
Right.
There should be some kind of happy medium where those who do the work get paid, but also those who want to innovate using the technology will be able to innovate without being
60
punished.
seconds.
All right, well, that wraps up the show. Again, thanks to Steve Stockman for being here with the first hour. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to have 500px. This is basically a showcase your own photos, license amazing photos, and stay inspired. This is a very interesting website and a service. We're going to have the company's CEO on the show in the first hour. And the second hour, again, computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. That's all coming up on tomorrow night's show. Again, thanks to all of you for being here with us. And Ben and I will see you here, same time, same place, same stations. So until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good one, everyone.
A very good one.
Woohoo! 10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, again, thanks to all of you for watching our live video stream. And again, 500px here tomorrow. It should be a very interesting show. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.